Okay, so I just finished White is for Witching this past weekend. I got it because of the title. Like what? I didn't even know what do you mean White is for Witching? Like tell me more. So, I think I had seen something about the author too, like something about her being really good. I don't remember, but yeah, I got that book and there was no audiobook. So I had to get the ebook. Um, and when I tell you that this book had me so hooked that I had the ebook on my phone and I'm like drawing because I have to get this drawing done. You see how long I've been working on it. Drawing with the ebook on my phone, like stipple, 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 read a paragraph, stipple, 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 read a paragraph. Like that is so inefficient, both as a way to read and a way to draw. But I like could not put it down, and I had to draw. So that's what I did. Um, so incredible. I don't want to spoil it, but basically, it it feels weird to say this because William S. Burroughs is so different from this author, but at the same time, her style reminded me of that, like the kind of cut and paste technique that he would use, where things that are the beginning of one sentence or things that are the end of one sentence become the beginning of another totally unrelated sentence. Like I love that. I love the chaos of telling a story that way, like just the narrative switching, like narrator switching mid chapter, or like the subject of the story all of a sudden being different. Like, oh, it was so cool. Like I just really liked it. Um because I loved William S. Burroughs too. Like I know he's kind of a bad person, but I loved his writing style, loved his weird little self. He would probably hate that. That's the thing about, liking people from any time before the 21st century, honestly. I don't think they would like me back, but there it is. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know him at all. Anyway, this is not about him. This is about Helen and her book. So, yeah, White is for Witching, like I just had to accept, like, okay, I don't know what's going on and I just have to keep moving forward, because the first couple pages I'd be like, who are we talking about? Like who's telling me the story right now? Like it kept switching, and like even the time that we were in kept switching. And I know not everyone loves jumping back and forth in the timeline. I really like it. Like I like a story that keeps me guessing. So I was just intrigued. But it's like you have no warning. It's like in movies you have visual cues, obviously, when the timeline has changed. The book, you're just all of a sudden somewhere else. So it took me a little bit to realize, like, okay, no, I didn't miss something. The book did just suddenly mid-sentence take me to a different place, narrated by a different person. Um, but it was so cool, and once I realized, like, okay, no, like that's how it is, and I could just keep moving forward. I really liked it, like, and you get rewarded for that because you keep going and suddenly things start to come together. Just like a really, just so good. And like I would say, once you kind of know that that's what's happening, things start to come together a little more, but it's still confusing sometimes. Like you're reading it and you're not sure who you're supposed to be rooting for or against. Like sometimes it feels like the father is definitely the bad guy here. Like what's going on? But then sometimes it's like, no, it's the sister. Like she's not. Ooh, like what's going on with her? She's hurting people. And then you're like, wait a minute, it's not her fault. Like this is everyone around her causing. And then you're like, wait a minute, it's not her. Oh my gosh, like it's it's so good. And then the way it ends, like chills, chills. I just felt like, wow, how do I even read another book after this? And I did. I just found another book right away. But still, it was so, so, so good. It's really hard to talk about it without spoiling anything, but I can say that without it being too literal, I felt like I don't want to sound like Peggy Hill, but to me, like I'm probably saying something that's really obvious, but it felt like a story about generational trauma, trying to break those patterns and live your own life and how that can be painful. Definitely like some societal comments on like racism and feeling displaced in like a little bit imposter syndrome, like you know you deserve to be somewhere, but you also feel like, should I be here? And then you feel like everyone knows that you feel that way. You feel like they're all kind of looking at you like, what are you doing here? You feel like the walls around you. There was a quote, I'm too lazy to pull it up, even though I wrote it down on my phone. Maybe if I remember, I'll put it in the video description. But one of the characters who's black is at this really prestigious university, and there's like, I'm so raspy today. There's this, she's looking at the portraits of all the founders and stuff, and she's saying like, wow, it's just like the same portrait over and over, like looking down at her, like overbearing, and you get this sense of like, you're not supposed to be here. And I had like that exact experience when I was getting dinner at the Jefferson in Richmond, or maybe just drinks because that place is expensive, but there's this whole wall of the presidents, and they're all just like a bunch of old racist people. And I was like, look at the wall of old racists, and it's like these are our leaders, like they're up here because they're being celebrated. Like these are the people who made this building possible, and the people who built this building loved these people. But like they did not think about the fact that one day Black people would be walking these halls also spending money and talking to folks and being free and stuff. And so you kind of feel like they're looking at you like, why are you in here? You know? And it's not like exactly something you can, like I brought it up to my friend, and like when you say it, you get a couple reactions, right? Like they either think it's so funny, or they're like, oh, I've never thought about that. Or they just like tell you like, well, actually like they didn't really like blah, 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 blah. So, you know how it is. It's just something that not everyone has to think about. So I thought it was really relatable, like, and it's not like she had negative feelings towards the university or didn't want to be there. It's just like, that's just what it is. Like that you can't ignore it. And on top of like doing such a great job talking about those issues without letting them overwhelm everything, like each one has its own stage. It's also just so creepy. Like it's so eerie. I learned a lot about Nigerian mythology, and you guys know like I love mythology. Like I did not know, I don't even know how to say it. I think it's like Sequoian, but basically like that mythology's vampire. And I just love how the human experience is so universal that across continents we all have the same monsters. Like before we had any kind of communication, everyone was worried about a creature that could leave its body at night and feed on the young and the healthy and the living, and like make them sick, and then during the day go back to looking harmless. Like that's so cool that everyone has a myth like that. Because, I mean, when you think of vampires, you just think, like, oh my god, didn't I just read another book about vampires? What's going on with me? It's like I'm always reading about artists or vampires, or both. But yeah, like, you kind of just picture, I mean, I always just kind of picture, like, Dracula, or, like, they're always white, I guess Queen of the Damned. I haven't seen that, though. Or that one in Twilight, what's his name? Laurent or something? But anyway, you don't really think about Nigeria. I mean, I don't. So, I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed the book. I think everyone should read it. I just think everyone should read it. It's so good. Excuse me. Also made me happy that I'm an only child. Yeah, I'd say so. There's twins. You know, being a twin is interesting for sure. It seems weird. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm just rambling now because I like this book so much. I don't want to stop really talking about it, but there's nothing else I can say without spoiling it. So I just think you should read it. I really liked it. It was so fun to listen to, and like the drawing that I'm, or not listen to read. I did have to read it, and it was nice because the drawing that I'm working on right now, I am trying to give it sort of a surreal, otherworldly kind of vibe. Zoom out a little bit. I'm just looking at the hair right now. So it was nice having this book to get into that headspace a bit, like sort of like a mystery, creepy type thing. So yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.